r/AskReddit. What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore? With the number of millionaire/billionaires that are psychopaths or similar, there must be a few super rich serial killers out there. By extension, there must be people making money supplying victims in the same way Epstein was supplying girls to the wealthy who wanted to scratch an itch. With the money, power, and influence would come governments and intelligence agencies willing to overlook or cover up terrible actions for leverage. David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007, and she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology, which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down, since this investigation is forever closed. She is either dead or locked in a bunker. If she is being stored in a ice fridge, it could be both things. Epstein didn't kill himself. Hopefully everyone at least understands by now that there are people with power and influence that surpasses that of our justice system and our government itself. This entire thing is a sad ordeal. New Coke was a way for Coca-Cola to switch from real sugar to corn syrup without people noticing. Switch to the new formula that everyone hates. Keep it for a while so that people demand the old one back, then switch it back after enough time has passed that people wouldn't notice the relatively subtle change. The change is not subtle at all once you've switched to Mexican Coke for a while, which is still made with cane sugar. Going back to the corn syrup Coke is awful now. It coats your mouth in this weird gross way that is hard to ignore. Mattress Firm is a drug cartel or a money laundering company, or maybe they're laundering money for the drug cartels. I don't know, but whatever it is, they're up to no good. We talk about this at work all the time. There's an area that has 3 of them within about 5 miles of one another. Who are all these people buying mattresses so frequently that you need 3 stores to keep up with the sales? I believe that the US government has men in black that make people disappear if they know more than what's good for them. Welp, you're screwed now. Yep, and it's gonna be a suicide. That the US knowingly left POWs behind in Vietnam. Isn't that just the plot of the second Rambo film? Yep, it is. Popular culture has reflected the live prisoners theory, most notably in the 1985 film Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Source: Wikipedia. Google Maps only asks you for feedback on its navigation when it knows it did a good job. I use navigation all the time, and I find that when it gets me to the destination on time or earlier than predicted, I get a notification asking to rate the trip. But if it gets me there after it originally estimated, I never get that notification. It won't be difficult to program this into the program, so you're likely correct. Google probably figures they don't want to ask you right after they did a bad job. O.J. Simpson is Khloe Kardashian's father. Rob Kardashian himself didn't want a DNA test done because he knew he wasn't the father. And if you look at Khloe, you can easily tell she has some similarities to O.J. Edit. Okay, wow, didn't expect this to blow up. Just a conspiracy I believe in. Don't want people thinking that I just compare their looks and assume they are just related. This whole thread is basically that part of Maury where they stand next to the TV and point at the picture of the kid yelling at each other. Dat baby has his eyes Murray. Jamie Lynn Spears was raped by Dan Snyder. He is the father of her first child. He ruined Zoe 101. Dan Snyder. Me Too. Part 2. The Kids Talk. I quite like the missing cosmonauts theory. It's unlikely but seems like it could have been possible. It boils down to the idea that Yuri Gagarin wasn't the first man in space. He was just the first man in space to survive the entire process. Edit. Phrasing. Also, thanks for the gold kind stranger. There was nothing found about any of this in the Soviet archives after the fall of the USSR. Plus, they kept records of the cosmonauts that did die, so why would they scrub just those first few deaths? Nothing's actually happening in Area 51. The government just keep it, so people will focus on it, and ignore the shady stuff happening somewhere else. Actually, Area 51 was created during the Cold War as a testing and development facility for aircraft, including the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance planes. And currently it's probably being used to test few weapons, and that's it. Every country has their secret projects and we all know it. The entire alien and conspiracy theories have only fueled movies and TV shows. That's it. That's what I thought. IDK where this whole notion of government is hiding aliens and crap came from. It's also been clear that there are a bunch of UFO sightings where people think it's an alien aircraft, but in reality it's just a new aircraft that our government is testing out and just ducking around with it. Pretty sure I saw it here on Reddit at one point, but someone brought up the art trade. That these $1 million art shows / individual pieces that go for insanely high prices are just a way for money laundering. Tax write-off even. So a real estate friend of mine told me that if you made $1 million you should get a crappy painting done. Have a mate who happens to be an art critic or evaluator value the piece at $50,000, then donate that piece to charity stating its value. That allows you to claim a deductible of $50,000 towards your taxable income due to your charitable donation. Genius. I worked in a museum for 10 years. A very wealthy woman, who was the head of the board of directors, would have her son buy works of art for the museum. Like a $300,000 $400,000 work of art. He would then donate it to the museum and get a full tax write-off for it. And by donate I mean it would come with a stipulation that it would go back into his own personal trust after a period of 10 to 15 years, in which time the work would have risen in value to about 1 to 1. 5 million and could be sold off. The way the wealthy can hide their money is unlimited. The fashion industry makes too much money from purses to care about making pockets for women easily available. Edit. All the people saying just buy men's pants have apparently never seen a woman's hips. Wanna really have your mind blown? Take your pants to a seamstress, we can add pockets, or make existing pockets bigger. I do it all the time. $5 a pocket, and I measure your phone to make sure it fits in without any issues. Wait, only $5 a pocket? Edit. I'm trying to sleep, please stop replying. Edit 2. I turned off notifications, you buttheads. Edit 3. Why would you PM someone trying to sleep? Seriously. This one is small and local, but still too insane to ignore, and just came up today. Just recently, our small suburban town's favorite gas station went out of business. Everyone went there. The guy who ran it was the mayor. He retires and sells the property after an issue with the ground underneath the gas pumps. They tear down the gas pumps and keep the garage. Mavis Tire bought the property and opened a new store. A few days after the Mavis opens, someone posts a picture on Facebook of an intersection at a road near it with nails all over the road. The guy theorizes that a box of nails fell off of a construction truck. The police come clean it up, and it seems all is well. Fast forward a few days later, and people are commenting on the post that they're finding nails in their car tires. Not just from that intersection. People jokingly say maybe it was the new Mavis guys throwing nails around, but nothing really happens. Several weeks later, people have been posting day in and day out pictures of nails in their car tires. My dad took my car into the Mavis in question about 3 weeks ago, and they found a nail inside of the right front tire. I noticed that it was driving sort of funny, but never that my tire was on the verge of exploding. I jokingly said people have been saying you guys have just been going around throwing nails all over the place, trying not to laugh at how insane it sounded to say out loud. The guy behind the counter said nothing but yeah with a weird smirk. Over 50 people have posted on the town Facebook that their cars have had nails in their tires. My mom is driving my car now because her car has a nail in the tire. It's been almost 3 months. I'll post updates if anyone is interested. The theory that Epstein didn't kill himself. Memes aside, he cold probably exposed a lot more rich people for their sex crimes. They just bumped him off before he could do so. I don't consider that a conspiracy theory. It's just plain fact, honestly. E to the word theory. I was gonna say, memes aside, it's a meme I guess, but like, Epstein is as obvious as it gets. Suicide. So yeah. The FBI keeps posting questions like this to see what the public knows. Edit. Why did this do well? When someone actually says something that could hurt them, they either spam with accounts that's BS or just delete the account whatsoever. I like that people always are worried that Epstein was murdered instead of suicide. What if this was a ploy to cover up that he just escaped or paid his way out of prison? Well crap. So Epstein really didn't kill himself is what we are agreeing on here? Secret societies definitely exist. No, we don't. Non-Illuminati confirmed. And chemtrails. This isn't a conspiracy theory, but I find any chance I can to say that dinosaurs definitely had feathers and deniers are just clinging to Spielberg's image of them. I just don't wanna think about a T-Rex looking like a ducking chicken mayo. Well, you're in luck, I guess. We found skin impressions that suggest T-Rex was mostly scaly. Could it have had some feathers at some point in its life? Maybe. But it definitely wasn't the fluffy Rex people were romanticizing. Velociraptor though definitely did have feathers. There is a giant money laundering cycle driven by the sale of paintings. It's just a piece of canvas with some paint on it. I may understand some people would be willing to buy paintings from the Renaissance, but modern art is definitely a huge money laundering instrument. Don't want to file taxes on 400k private purchases from someone for something illegal? Not a problem. Here's a painting that you can say is worth 400k in a completely subjective manner with the true item you want thrown in for free. Bingo. Don't forget the use of free ports. Anything in a free port is still in transit and thus you do not have to pay taxes on it. Rich people store stuff in those ports for years and never once see their purchases. Amazed that I haven't seen Gary Webb mentioned. Expose the CIA for assisting in drug trafficking and commit suicide with 2 bullets to the head. Worst case of suicide I've ever seen. It worked so well he shot himself a second time. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you googled Disney Frozen you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. The same goes for Disney on Ice.